welcome to Press and A Button to Continue. Today we were reviewing a very special movie. We want to take you back to the year 1999 where you got those ancient Mew cards, as we're taking a look at Pokémon The First Movie. It's a movie that is quite deep with its themes. I mean, talk about having an existential crisis. But myself, Keith and Nisha are here today to go over the movie, tell you all its details, its intricacies, and everything that happened. Nisha, hit me with a grand statement to start this podcast off about Pokémon The First Movie.
Fucking hell, grand.
Great, epic statement.
I'm grand. Are you grand?
I'm grand.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. Fucking
Jesus, and here's me having to make up intros in the spotlight.
I'm distracted because I'm currently holding a VHS copy of Pokémon The First Movie. I'll hold it up to the camera there for Keith to see. For viewers at home, I'm sure you know what it looks like. But the VHS tape itself is bright yellow. It is bright yellow. It is a thing of absolute beauty. Here's a bit of we're going to start you off with a bit of ASMR. Ready? Yeah, Pokemon ASMR. Ready? Oh, did you hear that VHS? Do you remember that?
I heard a little flop, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's how you know Saturday night has started. Imagine, the way we have, like, Netflix and chill now, you know what I mean? Where people are like, you know, are you still watching while a couple's riding away on the couch? I feel like what were back in the days of VHS and chill? Do you know what I mean? Like, what was the... Oh, yeah. I mean, it was Foreplay opening up...
Blockbuster and chill?
Yeah, but I think like Foreplay was like the sound of that thing opening. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's how you knew you were about to have a good time. And then after your 5 minutes of passion, you'd wake up with the VHS rewinding backwards on itself while you're asleep on the couch.
The rewind of the VHS is like... I was watching this movie last night. I have like a little CRT VHS combo and the rewinding got so aggressive that I sat up in my chair and was like, oh shit. I was like convinced that when it hit stop, because it wasn't slowing down, it was getting faster and faster, and I was fuck, is this right? I was like, it's gonna like stop and the TV is just gonna go flying. But it's such an aggressive stop when you rewind VHS.
And the newer VHS players, I say newer, like, but they would literally have like the rewind in 60 seconds feature, you know what I mean?
Oh, so really?
It would go like and you were like, oh God, that's about to explode.
But a grand I'm trying to think of something grand to say about Pokemon. It's deep. It's a lot deeper now. Like, watching it back as an adult, I realised the kind of themology of it all is very deep, and there's some really good really good dialogue in it. Really good lines, and we'll get to some of them because we put into our Discord asking people for their memories, and I read through them all. I know usually we read them out live, but I was like, I'm gonna read through them all, and some of them nearly made me cry.
Oh, I haven't read them at all.
Yeah. So some, but do you know why I read them all or read them first? Because I struggle so much to read like online or like on the go that I was like, I'm gonna read these first. I'm gonna get some practice in case I fuck up the reading of them.
You know, when the record button's hit, all that goes out the window, and it's, you know.
True.
There is a line, you know, that I'd like to start with that I think explains the movie pretty well, that Mewtwo says, which I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, it is not the consequences of one's birth that matters, but what we do with the gift of life. That is the true meaning of existence, or something like that, you know?
Yeah, man. Like that is deep. Like, you could sit here and ponder that phrase for hours and think about the different scenarios of people and hardships, and it's even like not even people who are like born into hardship and can like triumph, but people who are born into easiness and can squander and
yeah, or whatever.
Yeah. It's deep. It really is. Fuck, I didn't think we were gonna start off. I was like, podcasts or Pokemon, you know, life, fluffy. Like, we're really getting into
existential crisis.
Deep. Yeah. But I think it's quite fitting for the movie because it's such like, even like the animation style is so dark. Like, compared to the TV show, I'm surprised it's even PG. I'm surprised it's not a little bit higher almost. It has the proper like Japanese anime style.
It has the movie quality, like, you know what I mean? So in other words, they have way more time for the animation, the detail is higher. Yeah. Which actually, you raise an interesting point too. The Japanese version is quite different to the English version of the movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So I was doing
What?
a little bit of research on it, and it might be a bad
Cool.
place to start, just the differences between them.
Yeah, yeah.
But so the person who wrote this one, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was going through his own existential crisis in life. So he was like, I don't know what the purpose, I don't know what I should be using my time for. Like, what's the purpose of my creativity? Like, should I be an animator? Should I be like doing something else? Do you know? So he was struggling with his own existence and pondering his own life choices while writing this movie. And the Japanese version has that extra, 10, 15 minutes about the past of Mewtwo.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So basically, we didn't get the first 15 minutes of the movie, which is basically him growing up with a Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur, and he has a proper background story to why he is the way he is, and why he has a Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard as his main 3 clones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But his dialogue's very different in the English, so they wanted to Americanize it when Warner Brothers got it. So Mewtwo wasn't as evil in the Japanese version at all. He was very
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was very ambiguous. He wasn't like a villain as such. He was kind of somewhere in between. So the themes of existentialism and, is it ethical to clone, and, where does someone come from and all that is way deeper in the Japanese version than it is in the American version, because they rewrote a lot of the lines and they changed it all around, and they thought that for kids he'd have to be just like a villain. Do you know what I mean? It couldn't be more complex than that. So I think the guy who actually, the guy who wrote this said it was like a real hassle to give it to Warner Brothers. He was like, because they wanted to change so much and he really didn't like it.
Right.
Which reflects in the reviews, because in Japan this movie was reviewed very well, and in the Western world it was reviewed very poorly.
Was it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's surprising.
Yeah, I also kind of agree. A bit surprising, because I think even watching it as an adult today, I enjoyed it. Maybe that's nostalgia, I'm not sure.
Possibly, but I really enjoyed it as well. I didn't find it a struggle in any way. And I'll be honest, if I was to watch the TV show, I'd kind of struggle a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because it's so geared towards kids. But I don't know, again, I felt this was a really mature version of Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Might be the best way to describe it, because of the dark, not even just the visual aspects, the music, the dialogue, the questions of what am I doing with my life and stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm surprised. I'm quite surprised that it got bad reviews or ratings.
I think it's
because I thought it was good.
16% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. It
What
seems
the
like
hell?
really hard. Yeah. I really like it too. I think visually it's gorgeous. I think
Yes.
audibly it's gorgeous. I think it's a really good production overall, and I think it does Pokemon proud. I do have a funny thing though, right? I watched this movie today in preparation for this podcast, and I couldn't get an official version because my VHS player is upstairs, so I was just trying to find it online. And I ended up starting watching the remake on Netflix. Have you heard about it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
It's fucking awful.
In
my opinion.
Yeah,
I think it's the ugliest looking 3D animation I've ever seen. And the sound seems to be missing out of half of it. Sometimes there's just no sound effects. And then when I played the cartoon version, the anime, it was like night and day difference with how much better the animated movie was than this and I will say lazy remake. I thought it was really disappointing. Yeah, I was vehemently disappointed in it. Do you know?
I wonder, I did watch it, but I actually can't remember. I just remember it being a little bit different, but I can't remember being aghast at the fucking animation style. But I definitely remember not really taking too much of a shine to it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it lost. It's literally like you took the soul out of something. Is the best way I can describe it. Actually, it was such I felt like the weirdest cash grab of all time. Why would you turn a cartoon into 3D? I don't really get that. Why remake something from animation to 3D? I don't know.
I do remember thinking it was just very random. You know, I could understand them doing a live action version of it, which would be fantastic. I would adore it. I wonder, will they ever do a live action? Or is it all just going to be Detective Pikachu?
Well, Detective Pikachu is live action.
I know it is. No, but I mean, of Ash, of the original kind of Pokemon, as opposed to, I don't know. You see, Detective Pikachu, although I loved it, thought it was a great film, thought it looked brilliant, it just was set in too real of a world. You know?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Like
It's it's just Pikachu's
the
randomly
Kanto
New York
region.
City.
Yes, yeah. It was trying to be too realistic in the real. You know, I kind of want I'd love the Kanto region or whatever it is, whatever regions they're in, having that kind of world brought to life. Or if again it was based on maybe the TV show, the original TV show, where it's more adventure-y than like Pikachu in New York kind of thing. So, but it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I do remember thinking that the
remake.
Yeah, I do remember just thinking it was very random. I do. That's just one thing that jumped out at me. But I'm gonna have to watch it again. To see.
It's also obviously revoiced. At first, I wasn't sure if it was because Giovanni sounded the same and Mewtwo sounded the same. But then obviously Ash was voiced by what's her name?
Sarah Natacheni.
Yeah. Rather than Veronica Taylor. Which I think she does a good job as playing Ash. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was sinfully ugly in my opinion. And like I normally don't feel that strong about something, but like, and also the reason they did it too, instead of like it costs way more money to draw it than it does to CGI animate it.
Right.
In general, like it's always way more expensive to draw. It's way more time consuming as well to draw something.
I watched a clip because I was trying to find documentaries on Studio Ghibli, or Studio Ghibli as people call it, yeah. And I was looking at clips on YouTube, like I was just searching like Studio Ghibli, whatever. And there was one thing that I found, and it was an animator who worked like a full year on like a 4 or 5 second clip.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
and
that.
it was like
TikTok, I think.
was it? Yeah. The guy, whoever's the Studio Ghibli guy, goes over to him, and your man was like, "It took so long."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, but it looks so good. It looks so good."
And it was literally less than 10 seconds for
seconds.
Sure.
Yeah, it was.
What it was he was animating a crowded scene, so he needed every individual person to be doing something at the same time.
Crazy.
But it's just full of so much soul. See, here's the problem. At the end of the day, when it comes to art between CGI and when it comes between hand-drawn, hand-drawn literally has a human soul in it, and the CGI just doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so much more textured, or is so much more layer. No, I'm not saying, like, don't get me wrong, Toy Story and all that stuff, it's beautiful, and that has all art, and that's people's blood, sweat, and tears going into it. But obviously, there's just something about it just being drawn. I don't know.
Is it the things though that transition from hand drawn to CGI, which I think it's more difficult to get on board with? Like you said, Toy Story, it's all we've known. Do you know what I mean?
True,
so we've never, you know. So I wonder is that the case?
I think that's my offense to it. They took something that had like soul and heart and all that, and they stripped it. Like, I think like I'd actually love to like just assign someone to watch just 5 minutes of both. So just the first 5 minutes of the animated movie and the first 5 minutes of the CGI one, and come back to me and tell me how you feel, because the CGI one isn't so bad when it's looking at environments and Pokemon, but like when it comes to like Ash, Misty, and Brock, it's just like it just feels like I'm watching Fortnite. Like it really does irk me. Anyway, I'm getting caught up too long.
Don't even get me started on Dragon Ball Super now. Don't even. I know nobody even mentioned Dragon Ball, but I'm looking at a picture of Goku from our previous chat in front of me here on Discord. And,
he's looking good.
All I can think of is Dragon Ball Super when you think of poor CGI. Is it CGI or computer drawn?
No, it's. I guess like some of it is still hand drawn, some of it's done on a tablet. It's not CGI per se. It's just shit.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Superhero Super whatever that movie with Gohan and Piccolo, that is CGI though.
Oh yeah. That one looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was like the video game, like Kakarot the video game.
Yeah, like I was still disappointed with it, but like it wasn't the worst thing in the world.
But what did you think of the pre-movie? So for Pokemon The First Movie, there is the, what's it called? Because I have it here.
Pikachu's
includes
Vacation?
the mini. I'm going to read the back of the VHS box, right? This is the advert. It says, Pokemon The First Movie includes the mini movie Pikachu's Adventure. It's actually called Pikachu's Vacation. I really cannot read. Plus bonus footage of the story of Mewtwo's origin and the trailer for the second Pokemon movie. Now that's a fucking out and out lie. It doesn't, because I was looking for it last night, because I was trying to find it, because you had said it to me before and I'd never seen it, and I was trying to find it last night, and all I could find was like some clips of it. So I got the gist of Mewtwo's origin, but I still haven't seen the full 15-minute, 12-minute segment, whatever it is.
What the fuck is that about?
But did you watch Pikachu's Vacation? It's like
I didn't watch it in preparation for this podcast, but I have seen it.
You've probably seen it in the past, yeah. They go on to like an island, and I think it's more so introducing some new Pokemon. There's like the little like bulldog pink Pokemon that looks like they're wearing pajamas or a dress or something. It looks very cute. Then there is, well, Meryl and Togepi are they've already been introduced to the TV show at that point, haven't they?
I don't know, like 99, man. I don't know, like, so I think the Indigo League, like the Orange Islands, was when Meryl and Togepi were introduced, like past 151. So Togepi might have been introduced, but this movie came out like quite early.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, 99. Because sure, what Pokemon had only been on the go out here for a year or two, if even. Yeah,
basically. Like for me, it existed in 99. Like. And it came out in 98 in Japan. So
this is program content in our work 97, 98.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So fairly early on, but I thought it was a nice kind of like intro. Like, you know, it leans very heavy towards the younger demographic with regards to the art style. And maybe this whole movie is geared towards younger people, but I think
is, of course, yeah.
But at this time, I guarantee there's more like people like me and you who are watching it through like rose-tinted glasses. Is that the phrase?
Yeah, to an extent, I suppose.
Who love it.
I mean,
but I thought it was a cool. I thought it was a cool thing, just a mini movie. I always think that's it's an interesting thing to do before a movie. You get shown like it's like
very classic Pixar, isn't it? Like, you know, the way like before, like you know, any of those movies that have like a 10-minute like short story. That's like really cool, do you know, that you get in the cinema. Because like I have them for the later. I have the Pokemon movie 2 and 3 on VHS as well, and one of them came with Pikachu's Winter Vacation, and that like for me is like,
I've heard of that.
Like a little emotional. Like when I was a kid watching that, I thought Pokemon was over. I thought like Pokemon movie 3 was it was done. Do you know? I thought it was over.
Yeah.
Pokemon's over.
Nice, yeah.
But here we are, fucking 25 years later. On top of that.
But then, like, the way the movie opens, you're kind of given the intro to Mewtwo and him fighting and meeting Giovanni. And one thing I think is very cool is, right, so at the start of the movie, when Mewtwo breaks out of the gym and he's flying through the air of the armor, right, that cut of him flying through the air and the armor flying off him, it's in the intro of the TV show.
It is, yeah.
So that means that scene was done and made and drawn before the TV show had even aired over here.
The question is, though, is the scene in the TV intro the same animation as the one from the movie?
I'm fairly sure, right? Because there's a real specific... The angle that Mewtwo is flying up on, and there's bits flying off him. There's bits of...
the
armor, yeah. And why else would that be in the intro? You know, if they hadn't had that storyline, why would it be armor? Fair enough, you could see him flying, but
I mean, I guess it's just also the fact that, like, you know, when it came to the Western world, like they had all the footage for, like, you know, way ahead of what we were watching. Do you know what I mean? Because everything came out of Japan. So like, you got to keep in mind, like, you know, the theme song to Pokemon that never existed in Japan. Like, that's for us only. Like, you know. Japan doesn't have I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. It's not even translated. It's a completely different song. They don't know that.
Oh shit, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like, so like when back in the late 90s, like anything anime that was converted for us, it was heavily edited and censored compared to what like the original show was a lot of the times. Like even Dragon Ball was like edited a fair bit. Do you know what I mean?
Was it?
Yeah.
Stuff cut out of it, like
stuff cut out of it, made it more child friendly, changed a lot of the dialogue, and in turn sometimes changing how the characters are. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of does, yeah.
You're joking me. So can you get like dubbed subbed versions of Dragon Ball with like where they kind of make it different? Like can you get the Japanese versions with subtitles though? Basically what I'm asking.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's on on your DVDs you have the Japanese version, but you see you don't need to worry about that because the DVDs you're watching aren't the stuff that was aired back in the day. Like it was
Oh yeah, it's
edited
all
for
cut.
TV. Everything you buy on DVD is pretty much close enough to what
Thick.
the Japanese
Yeah.
will be dubbed. Do you know?
All right.
But yeah, no, but yeah, you're talking about the movie and like, you know, what we
So-
get it, we get it, we go ahead in the movie because we haven't described the like origins of the movie yet, but the movie starts off with Mewtwo flying out and we're like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like it gets to like he's being created in the lab, and then he's like, I'm just a copy, and gets pissed off and blows up everyone. And
Because he's from the genes of Mew. So like there's
Yeah.
scientists that go like into the jungle and they get like the Mew's DNA
Mhm.
and then
which is
he's
really
like
cool.
created in a lab. And then he is using his like telekinesis psychic powers to speak to people. So that's like
Yeah.
how he communicates. And they're like, he has fucking psychic abilities. What is going on?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm hearing the scene of them walking through the jungle at the start, and the music and the sound effects. It's really hit me like emotionally. Because there's so much nostalgia tied to this movie. Even just thinking back to those scenes, it's fucking crazy. Like, but yeah, you kind of you get the intro to Mew before you even get to the main Ash, Brock, and Misty. And but then I think the remix song, which we were talking about earlier, before we started recording, I think is really, really cool. I really like that remix.
So to give context, that's the I Want to Be the Very Best main theme, and it's
Yeah.
remixed in the movie. Kind of just redone vocals and kind of like a more dancey piano beat to it, which is nice to have something like slightly different for the movie, I think.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And the kind of pirate guy challenges Ash to a fight, and then you get introduced to a brand new Pokemon who's like an elephant rhinoceros.
Fanfi.
Rhinoceros. What's it called?
Fanfi.
Fanfi. That's the name of the Pokemon,
I'm
is it?
pretty
I've
sure.
never.
Or maybe,
all these
sorry,
years.
I think Fanfi might be the baby version of it.
All right.
But
But
yeah,
it looks the grey elephant
yeah,
looking
yeah,
look,
yeah, a little tusky bad boy, yeah.
And for some reason I always have it in my head when he eventually loses and your man goes, "Oh no!" That clip of him saying that, the pirate guy, for some reason just stuck in my head. But man, I have a memory of the very first time I watched this movie. I can remember the day, I can remember the build up, I can remember the lead
That's
up.
what I want to go to. I want to talk about like the experience around seeing it. Did you see it in the cinema? Did you see it at home? Tell me.
I didn't see it in the cinema, okay? I saw it at home, and I can remember we watched it over in my friend John's house. And I've talked before about my friend Gavin, right? Gav, who was one of the only other guys that I remember being really into Pokemon, and he was into like N64. And I remember, I'm fairly sure it was John's brother, Rob. I think it was either his birthday or it was like a confirmation or something like that, right? Because he had gotten like some new cool like skateboards, decks and stuff like that.
Tech decks,
And no,
like
real like
real
the
skateboards. Okay, sorry.
yeah. He was into, I think the brand was Blind. It was like an alien. He had gotten that, and then Gav came out, and Gav had FBI. You fuck off! Don't be listening to this. But Gav had a pirated VHS tape. And we don't condone piracy here.
I do condone piracy when it's Pokemon, because Nintendo doesn't give us the fucking games anymore, so pirate away.
That being said, I tried to watch this movie online last night, right? I tried on Netflix, Amazon, Paramount,
Yeah,
fucking
it's not
everything. I
there.
couldn't find it anywhere, and I had to resort to, and even tried to like look on Apple TV to see if I could buy it on Apple TV.
Yeah. They used
I
to
can't-
have it
couldn't get it
everywhere,
anywhere.
and it's gone.
It's gone, so I resorted to my VHS, which was the best way of doing it. But
Physical media for life, baby.
anyway, I remember Gav came out and he had like a pirated copy of this, so we all bundled into John Rob's house, and
how
we
old were
watched
you?
the movie. I was about 13. 14 or something like that. 13, 14, yeah.
So what would have been?
'cause what
Would
it
have
was
been 99 or would have been a few years later?
Well, if it was 99, I would have been 12.
I'd say you were 12, so right? It would hardly be
Yeah.
that later, like, would it?
12, 13, say, right? And I can remember going in and watching it, and I can just remember the excitement, and then I can remember afterwards just the sheer panic of, I can't watch it again. What really hit me was, I was like, I need to watch this again. I need to sit in my house on my
On your
own and watch it
own.
again. Yeah. And I think I remember getting like, I don't know if, I think Gav gave me a lend of it or something. But I can just remember that day of him coming out of the house, because he used to live next door to John, and coming out of the house with the VHS and just the excitement of it all, and the like seeing the new Pokemon, hearing the new theme tune, seeing the like stuff with Mewtwo, and just being like, holy fuck, this is amazing. And it blew me away. But it's mad. What I remember more so of the first time we watched this movie was the build up to it. Was that being outside playing. I remember it being a really nice day, and then again Gav coming out with the video, and I just remember it being a really cool experience. All of us just kind of huddled together watching it.
And was the video like from a camcorder in a cinema, or what?
Yeah,
was
it was fairly shit. Yeah, it was fairly
was it a cam, like a cam movie?
Yeah, I'm fairly sure it was a camcorder. Yeah, like
That's
a video
funny.
camera. From a movie. Yeah,
because like there was such a build up for that movie, because like I mean, I remember being in other movies and there was a trailer for it. So I remember watching the trailer in the cinema for the first Pokemon movie when I was a kid, going seeing some other kids movie. It might have been like fucking, I don't know, like Dr. Inspector or whatever that guy is. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
So that was like the hype there, and obviously like at the time, you know, the Game Boy game, the cards, like it just is like fucking the best thing in the world back then. Do you know what I mean? It was the best thing in the world back then. And then I think I went to see it. I did see it in the cinema for the first time, and it had Pikachu's Vacation with it as well. Do you know, it opened up with it and stuff like that. And but the nice thing about that is we all got our. I went with the birthday party. I think I don't know if it was at my birthday party. I can't remember, but I think there might have been like 7 of us or 10 of us. And I think this was before even I went to my like. So I moved schools from first class to second class because the school I was in for some reason wasn't mixed. It was mixed up till first class, but then they kicked the boys out, which is a weird thing. I don't really get it, but that's just the way it worked. Yeah. And so I think it was between them. So I think there was like some of the girls from my class at the time went as well, and like we all got our ancient Mew cards going in, which obviously was like the prized possession. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then just like I vividly remember being in the cinema watching it, and I was 7, I think. So
no way, man.
Yeah. So I vividly remember it, like, you know what I mean? When you think about it, like, you know, if you have any nieces or nephews or kids, like, you know, 7 might seem like a long way for them, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember being 7 vividly, and it feels like yesterday in some ways, and it's just time is crazy from that point of view. Do you know what I mean?
It is.
And it ties into the existential crisis of the movie, and, you know, what is the purpose of our lives and time, and is it ethical to clone people? And if people are cloned, are they as valuable as the original copies? And if we have feelings, aren't we all as valid as each other?
Yeah. Gotta get all emotional here thinking about this movie. But like, so even the way the movie starts, I think, is really cool. And then is it Dragonite, Dragonair, Dragantini, Dragon Ball Z?
Can I have a Dragantini, please? That sounds like a nice martini, doesn't it?
It does sound pretty tasty. Is it Dragonite? Dragonite. I'm gonna say Dragonite.
Yeah, it's Dragonite. Yeah. So like basically, Dragonair. I want to set the scene. Hang on, I need to set the scene visually, Nisha. Okay. We're gonna fucking ease into this. They're on that beautiful mountain. Yeah. Oh my god, that luscious grass. Brock, Misty, and Ash are setting up a little campfire, and Brock's cooking some of his famous stew, his lazy boy stew, he calls it in the movie. And Ash is starving, lads. He's starving on the table. He's like, I can't move a muscle. And then that pirate Pokemon trainer comes along. He's like, Pokemon battle. I'm always ready for this. And Brock's like, there he goes again. And of course, then past the part you were talking about, they have who is it? It's Bulbasaur versus like Machamp, and Squirtle versus that Fanfi Pokemon, and then Pikachu versus.
I think it's Squirtle fights Machamp, and then he has like he has like a Rhydon, does he?
Yeah, a Rhyhorn or something.
Pinsir or something. But it was very cool. Well, sorry, one thing. Just to go back to the TV show when you mentioned Brock cooking there. Do you remember in the TV show they used to always talk about eating jelly donuts, and it was like this weird rice triangle? And I remember I was watching that being like, what the fuck? That's not a jam donut, like, or a jelly donut.
Yeah,
it's a rice thing. It was just that, like, I remember seeing that as a kid, and just like my brain didn't even compute what was going on. I had no concept of this is a Japanese TV show. And they've just redubbed it and brought it out over here and just changed that word to make it work. Like,
like jelly donuts. Like, Why not a rice cake or anything to make any more sense? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. But that just came into mind when you mentioned Brock cooking. But yeah, I think it's a cool opener, the battle, and then Ash is kind of all happy hugging his Pokemon, and then it zooms out to is it Team Rocket are watching them.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can we just say Jessie, like, she with her thigh highs on, like, fucking, like, yes, like crop top thigh highs, absolute fucking baddie. Like, what a baddie. Like, absolutely real.
Like, very much so for a kids' TV show. Like, very, very
baddie.
much so.
Her and Android 18 now and an old fucking, an old throuple together would be fucking doing well. Like, do you know what I mean?
I'm actually, I keep just going to automatically talk about Dragon Ball Z because I'm
no, you're fine.
I'm watching Z Kai, and I'm just where I'm just about to Majin Buu is just about to be released because Android 18 just fought Mr. Satan, and I was like, how the fuck is she gonna lose to him now? I forgot from watching the original Dragon Ball Z that she's like she makes him throw the fight for 20 million zenny, or she says she'll throw the fight. But yeah, Jessie is smoking, absolutely smoking. But I love the trio of Jessie, James, and Meowth.
All right, like, what about this?
Such
right?
Good.
So I'll give you a choice between three, right? Either Jessie, Android 18, or Cameron Diaz walking in at the mask for the first time. Three of the ultimate childhood crushes.
That is bizarrely specific.
But bizarrely tough, right? You have those three memories core on you for all three that you're horny for.
I can't make a decision. I love how specific that was. At 14 minutes and 23 seconds of the mask, when she walks in with a black and white striped dress and red lipstick
the pink
on.
Power Ranger. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see how specific you remember it. You absolute fucking pervert. You knew what colour shade she was wearing and everything.
I love the way Dragonite flies after Dragonite invites him to the island. He flies off and they use like a frying pan, and the way they stop him with a frying pan is really funny. But one thing straight away at the start, I don't know if it sparked with you, but the sound effects in this movie are really good. Even the noise of Dragonite's wings, the noise that Dragonite makes, the whooshing of when they're flying, even down to like later on when the clones are like exiting the container things and they're going through the like they're coming out of the, like the container, whatever water thing it is. It really hit me last night when I was listening to it. I was like, fucking hell, the sound effects are so well done, like really well done. The audio is absolutely incredible, like, and even it's from the very start with Dragonite, it's just class. Really,
I mean, like, I don't think you can understate how much more the fact that they had movie money and movie time to make this, you know what I mean? It does show, because they had a budget of 5 million to make this movie.
Really? Yeah, 5 million.
And it like had 172 million at the box office, so like a smashing success.
Holy shit.
And that's back in 98, lads. That's 1998.
That's incredible. And isn't it strange to hit that much and be panned?
Well, again,
critics?
I'm not even sure if that's just the Japanese money, like, because again, it was received well in Japan because it had the full context of the movie. Like, honest to God, people say missing that first 15 minutes loses your connection with Mewtwo. Do you know what I mean? Like, when we're watching the English version, Mewtwo just seems like a bit of a dickhead. But like, having that you actually care for Mewtwo apparently in the movie, which just makes such a big fucking difference, do you know? And of course, back in those days as well, we live in a time where home releases were huge. So like, movies could release in the cinema, right? And flop, and they could make all their money back on the VHS tapes. All of it back, which is insane. Now, to give context, right, when it was released on tape, they sold 4.2 million units of the tape.
Shit.
And that earned 58 million just in the United States by the end of 2000.
Whoa. That is insane.
Yeah, and that's just the States. That is insane. And by 2007,
and think of the merch,
the film
man.
had sold 10 million.
Oh, Jesus. Think of the fucking... But then just the merch and everything to go with it. But why did they take it out, the intro? Because I'm looking here, the runtime in the VHS, it says 93 minutes.
And
Like,
that's including
that-
Pikachu's vacation.
Yeah. Which is over 15 minutes, because I was fast forwarding the video last night. You have to stop and fast forward, and I pressed stop, and it was, I think it's about 16, 17 minutes long.
Yeah, I watched it
So-
today, and the movie's 70 minutes. The American release of the movie
Yeah.
is only 70 minutes long, an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, so like, surely they could have left that in.
Yeah,
I
they
wonder,
could
was
have-
it to,
they-
like,
They said it was regrettable that they didn't. Said the person
really?
who mixed
Yeah.
it said he ended up regretting not putting it in. He basically, the way it was this has to go to American kids, and American kids
Yeah.
aren't going to understand it like Japanese kids are going to understand it, or something, or a Western
Oh,
audience. So
right.
they were like, we have to Americanize it up and make it like, TikTok generation almost level of like,
Yeah.
they just want to see
That's-
the flashy fights,
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because my thoughts on it were, did they take it out because they didn't want it to be too long, so kids would lose their concentration.
And
It's
they
funny you
didn't.
mentioned
They didn't.
TikTok,
About
'cause
the,
that
and
whole
the
thing.
themes were too probably like advanced. They thought. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think like you could have showed me just images of Pokemon on a screen, not even moving, and I would have been happy when I was fucking 7 years old watching it.
True, and it's still like saying that kids won't get it. I just think is
Yeah, it's not giving them enough credit.
yeah. No, it's not. I don't think it is at all. But then, so we go from the intro battle, Dragonite getting hit in the head with a frying pan by Team Rocket, to them running off to the Pokemon Center.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Which I just want to fill in some
Officer.
blanks there while you're thinking. Also, they
Yes.
got in it. The reason they're going to an island, because you just said they got an invitation, but they got an invitation from the world's strongest trainer who wants to test his might. That's how
yeah.
it works.
Mhm.
So, and there was a classic like throwback to like Star Wars or something, the way there was like a hologram of inverted
Actually,
commas Nurse Joy, who's disguised,
Yeah.
and Brock's like, she's a cutie.
Yeah,
And she's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and you can tell she's like, you have been invited to the island by my master. She's really like, psychic controls or whatever.
Out of it. Yeah.
And then Team
Brock
Rocket
is an
nab
absolute
another
fucking
one of the
horn dog, isn't he?
invitations. Oh man, he's just literally Brock
Brock
is
could
the
do
most
well in
relatable
this
character.
podcast.
He would do well in this podcast because he's like, there was a quote in the movies where
Although
Nurse
he's a bit
Joy and Officer
extreme,
Jenny get fucking hotter every time I see them.
Yeah, he's like he's a bit much, to be fair.
He is in this hole a bit much. Jesus, you can hear us off the podcast. We can't contain ourselves. Nisha sends me like love notes about Android 18. He can't stop. It's a whole thing. Our love for cartoon characters. Do you know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing.
But we get to, is it a Pokemon Center? The Pokemon Center is fucking huge as well, which I think is really cool. Or are they, is it a Pokemon Center exactly at the harbour? Because there's a big storm.
There is a big storm brewing, and all the trainers that have been invited have been collected at like the harbour port, and the Pokemon Center is closed down because, in inverted commas, that Nurse Joy has definitely been taken away by Mewtwo and been controlled. So they're all in that harbour town. And here's where we start noticing some mistakes, which I don't know if you've noticed any mistakes in this movie. There's a few.
No.
No.
I
I
haven't noticed any.
And it's only specific to the stupid English dub as well, which is just classic. The American
Right, go on.
of it. So
Go on.
the trainer calls his Pidgeotto Pidgeotto, first of all. So he's like, this is my Pidgeotto. And it's a Pidgeot.
No way.
Yeah, I'll tell you all of them now because I was listening and I was checking.
Holy shit.
They call Sandshrew Sandslash. And they call... the most egregious one is, I think they call like a Pinsir and Alakazam or something. Like completely wrong.
Way. Not even like a
100%.
different evolution. It was
Yeah,
like
no,
completely
just
just a different
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. So that was
Holy
kinda funny.
shit. I can't believe I never noticed that.
Mm-hmm. Keep an eye out
Fucking
for it
hell.
next time.
And I remember thinking the Pidgeot is huge in that movie. They
He's
have
so cool.
Pidgeot is so cool, but the size of Pidgeot I didn't realize, because
It's scary.
when you see Pidgey, yeah, it's like an absolute monster. But I think it's cool the way they, each Pokemon trainer gets through the the storm and through the sea.
Yeah. So they're basically like, the ship can't go. So they're like, we're masters. And then the person in the thing's like, that's what separates a Pokemon trainer from a Pokemon master, is their ability to want to die in the sea. It's like, all right. But if you think about it, Pidgeot in the games flies you around from town to town, so he's got to be big enough for you to fucking ride him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Very true.
Ride him, I shall, with the mane like that. I'd smash Pidgeot all day, boy. Smash Pidgeot all day. Do you ever play Pokemon Slash or Pass?
No.
We should play it sometime on a podcast. It's so funny. Basically, you just get pictures of Pokemon. You have to decide to smash or pass. So it's like Arcanine, and you're like, smash. And then you're like, Vileplume,
I'd say that'd be
obviously
pretty funny.
Smash.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. So how I can't remember, who does Ash? Surely Squirtle doesn't take Ash.
Yeah, I was like kind of working in the background while I was looking at this part.
So I know Misty uses like
Staryu,
Starmie, and I think it's Squirtle.
Why the fuck does Starmie go?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where's that Staryu?
It's very weird. I think Staryu does the same thing. Staryu. I think they both go something like that.
Yeah, it's weird.
But anyway, they make it to the island, and again, this is the way it's designed. It reminds me of like fucking Ghost in a Shell, Akira, Cowboy Bebop, like that real dark animation, like, which I think is really cool, and was just like. I remember when I was watching the first time, just being surprised at how dark it was.
And you know what? I fucking love a good storm in real life, and there's something about the ambience of them all being in a storm inside, and like getting to that tower where all the fire is lighting and stuff, and there's a real sense of like ambience about it, isn't there?
There is. They really create the scene, or like you really feel the place that they're in. They really set the stage for it really nice. Yeah, but I think it's cool when they get there and they meet the other trainers and see all their Pokemon kind of out and about, because it's rare you get to see so many of them, like, you know, they're like, these are all my Pokemon and these are all my Pokemon. And
movie budget again, I'd say in any TV episode they'd be like, there's no way we'll be fucking animating 19 Pokemon running around the place all at once. Do you know what I mean?
True, actually. I never thought about that as well. Fucking hell. And then we meet Mewtwo eventually. One thing with regards to, so Mewtwo is hung up on being a clone. He's got a big issue with being a clone. Yeah.
So he's like,
and then he decides to,
which is I guess the thematic question of kind of the movie. But yeah, sorry, go on.
So he's taking their Pokemon and making clones of them. And I was like, was that a nod to the people cloning Pokemons with Game Boys and the trade cable? You know, that kind of hack where you turn it off at a certain point? Do you think was that ever a nod, or was that post the movie?
I doubt it.
No,
I never heard of anyone mentioning that anyway, and I didn't even know there was that technique you could do where you could clone them like that. Maybe I remember it in retrospect.
All right.
I remember being in Spain and I had 2 Game Boys and 2 Pokemon. What I used to do is I keep restarting the game to get multiple Charmander, Bulbasaurs, and Squirtles, and trading it back to my game, so I had loads of them to give to people. Do you know?
Yeah, deadly. I can remember sitting on my front wall with a Gav again, cloning Pokemon. I think it was Mew or Mewtwo or something like that, and I have that again, that image in my head. But one thing I noticed about Mewtwo is Frieza from Dragon Ball Z.
they're definitely similar in their color palettes for sure.
They're so similar, and then not to jump too far ahead, but obviously Mewtwo is a clone of Mew. And when Mew rocks up, all hell breaks loose, right?
When
Mewtwo and Mew are fighting, they power up. They're like, one of them's glowing pink, one of them's going blue. They're smashing together. They're throwing power balls at each other. It's
total Dragon Ball.
So Dragon Ball.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm like, Dragon Ball Z surely came first, didn't it? Because that was early 90s.
Way before.
Yeah, like 93 or something.
Yeah. Well, no, Dragon Ball was 86, the original Dragon Ball.
I know, but Dragon Ball Z, this is Dragon Ball Z-ish, because that's what I'm saying. Mewtwo was very Frieza-y. Very Frieza-y.
100% took inspiration.
Which I think is really cool, and it's mad. Like, I've seen Pokémon The First Movie, I'd say, like, easily 50 plus times.
What?
And it was only Easy, man. Yeah, throughout my life, easy.
So you watch it a couple of times a year, like?
I would have. Well, see, when I was a kid, I would just watch the same videos over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
So easy. Like I have it on VHS only about 2 years, and I've watched it. I'd say maybe 6 or 7 times in those 2 years.
And I gave you Pokemon the movie too, didn't I?
Yes, and I've watched that with the birds.
Yeah.
The ancient birds or something.
It's cool as well, I think.
Yeah, it is. I must watch it. I haven't seen the third Pokemon movie.
Oh, it's the best.
But it's one thing I have in my notes here from watching it last night, that it's funny only now because I've watched Dragon Ball that I realise how heavily it was or looks to be influenced by Dragon Ball Z, which I think is really cool. I think like watching that, like, and then the two of them like having that nod to that, for Pokemon to have a nod to Dragon Ball Z, I just think is really cool.
Yeah,
I know I jumped ahead a bit in the story, but
no, it's all good. I mean, by the time they get to Mewtwo's palace and they were tricked thinking it was trainer battles, and then all their Pokemon get captured in these weird eyeball Pokeballs to be cloned.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like it tackles really weird themes of like race and everything. Like the way Mewtwo's like, no more normal humans or Pokemon. It's only my new race of clones that will like exist on their own. Like it's really like insane.
It is.
And he has this whole wanting to take over the world kind of thing with his own breed of Pokemon, and getting rid of everyone else because he's a clone. But at its core, it's because he's hurt. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yes,
his thing is like, well, I'm been cloned and I don't know what my life is, and I'm used by people, which he was. Do you know what I mean? So like, you can understand his villain arc and where it comes from. And he just wants to create
Big
like
time.
other clones so they can relate to him, so they can relate to his story. And then that leads to obviously all hell breaking loose with clones versus the originals, and who's better, and does anyone need to be better, and is one more valuable than the other, once they're all alive anyway, do you know?
I really like the scene leading up to, obviously Team Rocket are kind of creeping around the facility, and they're in the background, and they activate a machine or whatever, and it tries to clone Meowth, and it's pulling Meowth into the machine, and it pulls the hairs off, and then it goes into a scanner. And I think it was a very cool nod to the TV show where they were like, it shows like a silhouette of Meowth, and they're like, "Who's that Pokemon? It's Meowth." The middle thing. I just thought I picked that up last night. I was like, that's very cool. But the way the clones then face off, and then that song that plays when they're fighting.
Yeah, it's like, Pokemon are made to be loved. Let's end the war and fuck each other. Can't get enough.
No, it starts off going like, brother, my brother. And I was like, why are they fighting? They don't need to be fighting anymore.
Yeah.
And I think it's real funny that they're like, Misty and all, they're all like, this is awful, this is horrendous. The Pokemon weren't made to fight like this.
Yeah,
and I'm
they
like,
are
that's
made
all you fucking do with them.
So
they're fucking.
So
that's all you use them for.
This is a huge reason why the movie got shocking reviews in the Western world, because the Japanese version doesn't shoehorn that idea that Pokemon aren't supposed to be fighting. So it's just changed. So like it's dubbed just to shoehorn the idea that violence is bad for kids. But the show is about violence.
That's
at the end of the fucking day. So apparently that dub version brought down the Western reviews hugely, because they said the movie doesn't make any sense. Pokemon are all about fighting each other, and it's ham-fisted down your throat that fighting each other is bad. So it's like, where it make the movie make sense. Now, obviously, we can make it make sense because we just understand. It's just like they're trying to. We can see they're shoehorning in the lesson, and we can kind of look past that.
And when you're a kid, you don't like. I don't ever remember thinking about it like that as a kid. As an adult, when I can obviously look at it now and go, well, yeah, it's like fucking
doesn't make sense.
Me and like my dog and the neighbour's dog fighting. I was like, that's barbaric. Like, you just wouldn't do it. But that's
so funny.
Basically,
like, use bite attack.
Like it's mad when you think about, but it's just that that's the whole premise of the show, and it's just what the way it is,
like
and it's not
using
a cruel
Pokemon
thing
to fight each other in cruelty is only okay for winning a gym badge. It's like,
yeah. But what I also really liked was how Mewtwo can speak some of what Mew's saying, and even Meowth speaks some of what Meowth is saying, or the Meowth clone is saying. And I really think that's cool because you get to see the kind of Pokemon's opinions on things. Because I think now, I think it's Mark DeMille maybe says it later on in the Discord. But
don't tell me any spoilers. I don't know. I want to listen to them.
Sorry. Oh yeah. But there's some he brings up one of the really kind of hard hitting bits of dialogue. But that whole fight scene I thought was really, really cool. I thought it was designed really, really well. Seeing the two Pokemon fight each other, seeing the two clones fight each other, the fight between Mew and Mewtwo I think was really cool. Also, the first time when, not just when Mew shows up and kind of saves Ash with the like bubble thing, but when Mewtwo fires like a Powerball at Mew and he fucks off into the sky, and then he's like, turns out you aren't fucking strong enough, whatever, and then he just fucking hammers it back at Mew, just hammers it back at Mewtwo, and he's like, what the fuck? And then Mew just comes, and I was like, that was real badass, like, because you know Mew's real cutesy and all, and he was just like, fuck out of here with that shit. yeah.
A big fan service moment that we missed as well, which I think is class, is where Ash uses Charizard. Like, I feel like that's a real like fucking jaw drop moment. Where he like uses Charizard to fight Mewtwo, and Charizard obviously still doesn't listen to Ash, and Mewtwo's like, he doesn't even, he's not even a good trainer. But Charizard just like blasts loads of flames at him, and then he's like flying around. He's like, use your speed, Charizard. But it's just Charizard looks so good in it. He just looks so fucking cool,
He's deadly. Charizard, so fucking cool. But yeah, I love when as soon as Ash releases Charizard out of the Pokeball, he just turns to Mewtwo and goes, and just like fucking flamethrowers him straight away. It was
like, fuck you, bitch.
A good bit of comedy. But then we get to the remember the scene with Pikachu. Jeez, we haven't even talked about poor old Pikachu. When Pikachu, I can't believe we're nearly an hour into this podcast and we haven't mentioned Pikachu.
Sure, Pikachu's omnipresent though, like, do you know what I mean? He's whatever.
True. But Pikachu running up the like spiral staircase, and he's trying to shock the black Pokeballs that are trying to capture them all, Mew's Pokeballs. And he's shocking them when he's getting tired, and he's like, chill. I remember being like, don't catch him.
Chill.
I just remember getting so emotional at that bit, man.
Worked up, yeah.
Oh,
and then,
man.
of course, then we get to the
big scene.
two Kamehamehas ready to go off each other. We have, Vegeta versus Goku, Kaioken times 4. And they're ready to throw down to destroy it all. And of course, our main hero, Ash, gotta catch them all himself.
Yeah.
Throws his body in between the two blasts, and then the waterworks start showing.
Yeah, man. Oh, it's mad. Even Mewtwo's like, you fool! Why would he sacrifice himself for? And it was that was a light bulb. You could see that's a light bulb moment for Mewtwo. That he's like, it kind of clicks, it kind of twigs at him then. But yeah, when they all start crying, man, like,
because Ash turns to stone. If you haven't seen the movie, so basically the blast turns him to stone, and Pikachu's like, Pikachu. Choo.
Oh man!
And then he doesn't get up, and everyone's like, oh no, Misty's like, Ash, he's dead.
Yeah. Oh man, that's heavy. Like that was really, really emotional. Like, because Ash basically dies.
Yeah.
It's like, surely he's dead. Because don't they say something about Pokemon's tears bring people back to life? And don't they mention that about why don't Pokemon cry? They say, I can't remember.
Yeah, there is something somewhere, because it is kind of random, just the way like the tears basically form a tear spirit bomb into Ash to bring him back.
Yeah.
But only after Pikachu does his horrendous heart tearing, chill. He keeps trying to shock him back to life. He's like, chill,
Yeah.
and his shoes get more
Yeah.
broken and broken until he's like, it's not
Yeah.
gonna help him.
Oh man, that scene was heavy.
It
And
was.
still to this day,
Mm-hmm.
it's fairly heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But Asher, then he's back.
I'm sure then, sure he's back and they all go home and it's the fucking end of the movie. So anyway, let's go check your comments, lads.
Yeah. No, but like, so Ash comes back and then Mewtwo kind of realizes, that he was being a bit of a bollocks. And then they fly off. Where did they go? Did they ever say where?
Dude,
like, does
there's
it ever?
a sequel to the movie. Have you not watched it?
Oh my god, I think I have. Mewtwo Strikes Back.
Yeah, where you see them all on
shit.
the island. There's a whole second thing to it.
Maybe I haven't actually seen, or have I seen it? Fuck. I don't know if I've seen the sequel.
I
remember
have
a
on
bit-
VHS. I've seen it. Came
Yeah.
out with. I think it came out with it or something. It's at first I thought it was just a different cover for the same VHS, but it's actually a completely different movie. Like it's a literal sequel.
Like, how that didn't even exist to me when I was a kid, man. That didn't, like,
Yeah.
I didn't know. This is the thing of, like, I feel like when we were kids, man, and I had no fucking clue. Like, I had no clue that there was this whole other movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then even the second one, the third
It
one.
was straight to VHS that Mewtwo Strikes Back, I think. But the
right.
Pokemon movie 2 and 3 were theatrical big releases.
Yeah.
It's
I
called
don't know why
Pokemon
I didn't
2000.
go to. I don't know why I didn't see them in the movies, because I'm fairly sure I didn't see any Pokemon movies in the pictures, like in the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if, again, I was getting to that kind of awkward age of being in secondary school and, it wasn't cool to like Pokemon, even though I still loved it, and I was afraid to go. I can't really remember.
Yeah, possibly.
But I'm fairly sure I didn't see any of them in the pictures. But that Mewtwo Strikes Back kind of continues on the story.
Mm-hmm.
Are they in like a big flying thing? Is there like a big flying building with loads of propellers on it?
I don't know. I think that's like one of the enemies thing. I think you might be right there. I watched it about a year ago, I think, and I think you might be right. But the Pokemon aren't on that. But yeah, I know what you're saying. But yeah,
But what do you rate this movie? Like, overall, like, not from like your kid's perspective, but like,
from a now perspective.
Now what do you think of it? Like, is it
Well,
a
I
good
still have
movie?
to
Is
rate it
just
from a
nostalgia?
perspective of liking Pokemon. I can't take my bias of Pokemon away. Like, I'm sure if you don't have any clue what Pokemon is and you watch this version of the movie without the Mewtwo origins part and all that, you could come away from it being like, that was kind of shit. But I think it's like, from an adult's point of view who still likes Pokemon, I think it's like a 7 out of 10, and I think it's a good time, and I think it's beautiful, and I think it sounds great too. Obviously, it's like a bit, it's made for kids, so like it's a really enjoyable movie nonetheless, I think. And I would say a very nostalgic good time, and the animation quality is so high, it could be released today and I wouldn't know the difference, do you know?
Yeah, it is.
What about you?
There's so much good with it. Like, again, I love the animation. I love the art style of it. I think it looks fantastic. I love the dark theme, like visually, and like the actual theme of the movie itself. I love the music in it. I think is really cool. The sound effects really stood out to me last night for the first time ever. It really hit me how I think all the different sounds that they made, whoever did the fucking sound in this movie did an incredible job. It's really, really good. And then I love how like deep it gets for a kids movie. How emotional it gets for a kids movie. I think it's fucking brilliant, man. Like, I'm struggling to rate it like lower than a fucking 9, but that's a nostalgia thing, I know. But
well, rate it a 9 then.
I think I'd have to. I can't bring it down. I can't. I don't have anything to bring this movie down. Nothing. No. Maybe the fact that it's not longer is the only thing that kind of annoys me.
It should have been longer. So I mean, even that you can't complain about. It's not the person who made the movie's fault.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try and find the full version of it again, because I couldn't find it anywhere
on your VHS tape. Like, what the fuck is that about?
Yeah, but mine says the first movie. Mine says bonus footage of the story of Mewtwo's origin and the trailer for Pokemon's second movie. And I even let it play last night, like afterwards.
Has to be fucking on it, like.
I didn't see it, man.
Have you like
Didn't
fast
see it.
forwarded to the very end of the tape and gone backwards?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, the tape ran out to the very end last night.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it?
Anyway, Brock, Misty, and Ash. Oh, we forgot the big part, which is a bit you could maybe knock a point off it for this. It was all a dream. So Mewtwo erases all their memories, and so that part is kind of a little bit whatever, but which plays into the sequel, Mewtwo Strikes Back. So I mean, it kind of gets sorted there, but that is a little bit like, well, what was the fucking point?
Yeah, it's a bit cheap.
Yeah. But other than that, they all go off and they live their days, and that's it. Good movie though. I enjoyed watching it today.
Yeah.
But
Really, really good.
we know we enjoyed it. What do you think some of our listeners thought about it?
Yeah, so we asked people on our Discord. So if you're listening to this podcast right now and you're enjoying yourself, do me a favour. Rate it 5 stars on Spotify, on Apple. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, at Press Any Podcast. We have a Patreon if you want to support the podcast. We have YouTube with loads of Let's Watches. What are they called? Watch plays?
Reactions.
Let's Play, reactionary videos. So there's loads of other stuff. It's all in the link tree, and then you can find Keith streaming on Kick, and you can find me being lazy on Instagram. Just check us out. Just just check us out. Just check us out, because I'm terrible at promoting it. So just while it's in my head, go on to Linktree, click every single one of them, and just do something with it. Please.
Yeah. Just interact with us, for God's sake. Just fucking touch us. Please look at us during.
Just stroke our egos.
Yeah.
So yeah, we asked people in Discord, and if you want to join Discord, please do, for their memories on Pokemon the movie, and if what they've seen, their thoughts on it, anything like that. And we've got some good ones here. The longer stories I'm going to leave to you, because again, I can't read properly. Sure. So I might take the first 2, and then the last ones are kind of longer. So I'll let you. Yeah. Is that all right with you if I go for the first 2?
Go for it.
So the first one is from Super Nerd, and Super Nerd said, I saw the film in theaters. I got the Ancient Mew card. I remember when it was exciting to see Gen 2 Pokemon like Donphan. So maybe Donphan.
I think Fan evolves into Donphan.
Ah, right, very good. Yeah, that would make sense. The film itself hit me pretty hard as somebody who never felt like they fit in anywhere. Mewtwo's struggle to create a life and family that he lacked really made me sympathise with the character. I didn't think much that there would be an us versus them narrative shoved into a kids' film. Even when the clones began to fight the naturally born Pokemon, and yet watching the scene where Brother played as they struggled in vain to defeat each other, and it centred on Meowth. When Maddie Ziegler spoke through that Meowth, that was the first time I ever remember a movie bringing me to tears. That was a fairly heavy line. So what it said was, maybe if we started looking at what's the same instead of always looking at what's different, well, who knows? Like that is, and that, like, when I read that comment from Super Nerd, I was like, and I read that line at the end, I was like, man, that's so true. Like, and I know it's very cheesy, and I'm not getting political or any of that shit, but it seems like people are just so hyper focused on fucking everything that they don't like, and giving out about it, and not like focusing on what they do. Like,
and I think as well, like, when Ash jumped in between the beams and it was a light bulb moment for Mewtwo, like that's the only way to like actually like fix people who feel like they have hatred in them, is literally with love. Like, hate with hate just begets hate and hate and hate. So it's like, true. You actually have to like hug the person who's being a dickhead basically sometimes, what I mean?
Absolutely. That was a great comment. Thanks, Super Nerd. And the next one then, again, I'm going to read it just because it's a shorter one, from Dinner Dog. And Dinner Dog said, also seeing the movie in the cinema, Waterford Cinemaplex and tagged Laser Steak will know this. It was pretty cool, except for this one annoying cunt who would announce every Pokemon who appeared on the screen. Example, Pikachu, an electric Pokemon, every fucking time. I do remember seeing the little Pikachu mini movie in advance, though. Some Pokemon the movie promotional CD, through some Pokemon the movie promotional CD, which I think had this video that was on the soundtrack, and he's tagged the video. I'll have to watch that afterwards. But I remember when what Dinner Dog's saying there about someone being annoying reading out the Pokemon, right? I remember going to see Star Wars. I remember going to see Star Wars Episode 1 in the cinema with my friend Johnny. And you know the way it started? It goes, BAM! And then the music text is floating down, and it was like,
did he read the whole
Republic
thing?
is in. I was reading it out loud, right? I remember some lad just turned to you and said, "Will you shut the fuck up?"
You were reading it out loud, were you?
I don't know why I was reading it out loud, man. I don't know why, but I was literally reading it out loud.
Were you cognizant of the fact you were reading it out loud, or were you just reading it?
I don't remember. But I just remember being like, I remember I got a bit of a fright, and then I thought, yeah, he's fairly right. Like, I was only a child, like,
yeah.
But that just reminded me of that situation. For fuck's sake. Thanks, Dinner Dog. I'm gonna watch that video after.
And then we got our old mate, aka Richard, which also, by the way, it's his birthday today. So let's sing him happy birthday,
Richard.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Richard. Okay. I went to see it and I got a few promo cards. My aunt went in to ask, do they have any spares? And I got this haul, 14 Ancient Mews. Of course, being 9, I didn't have collector energy, and I opened the ball and threw away all the supplementary info cards.
Is that a real picture?
Yeah, that's his actual collection of Ancient Mews that he owns.
Fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Are they like pricey cards now?
About 50 quid a piece if they're
in
good condition.
Wasn't there another Pokemon card you got, a promotional? Was it a Mew? I have it.
There's a lot of promo cards for different things, but that was the specific movie one.
The movie. Yeah. There was a Mewtwo one as well. I can remember seeing that Mew. I've never got one. I remember buying a fake version of that actually, and it turned out to be a sticker.
Oh man, the classic. The sticker ones were so good. Like, they were so convincing. Go. The only way you're going to see those 14 Ancient Mews is if you join the Discord, you bunch of fuckers.
Yeah. So basically, Richard, who has never been mentioned in this podcast before, don't know who he is, has it's like a deck of cards. Basically, it's like he's showing off a big deck of cards. That's literally what he actually is doing. But it's 14 Ancient Mew cards, and it's like a beautiful fan. It's glorious. It's glorious, Richard.
They're not the most pricey cards in the world, even with the package. I think with the packaging, them sealed, they're probably like 50 quid because, like, you know, they were given out free to anyone who went to the fucking movies, you know?
Yeah. Nice.
Gar says, also, by the way, Gar has a beautiful podcast himself out with his buddy at the moment. Go check it out, baby. Go check it out.
The Cake is a Lie. I finished listening to the second episode yesterday. I think it was real funny, right? So their second episode was like a top 5. And I clicked on it. It was like nearly 2 hours. And I was like, see, it's not just being you trying to get through a top 10 in like 4 hours or something. It's like everyone. I thought it was a great episode, though. It's a great podcast. Definitely check it out.
Gar says, I remember seeing in cinema with my bro, and we queued up to go in. We got handed the Ancient Mew Pokemon cards as old mate just linked. It felt really special. There is something about having something tangible going to a movie that adds to that experience. Do you know what I mean? It really is.
100%.
The intro to the movie
it's
absolutely
cool.
rocking. You had the vacation theme park intro where they all went and battled, the remastered Pokemon theme song playing, and then Pikachu's Get Ready to Fight another trainer, only for the trainer to send out Don Fan, and we were like, what the fuck? Who is this guy? My child self was never so happy. But also, big spoiler, but Ash dying got us all choked up. The games had so much mystery, and the movie really kept us up. The way everyone's memories wiped at the end, but when Ash sees Mew heading into the clouds, mirroring the first episode of where he saw Ho-Ho flying above, that's true, yeah, and he's like, I've seen a really rare Pokemon before. Interesting fact, Ho-Ho was added in the first episode to already start building the hype for Gold and Silver, since they were already being previewed in Japan months before the anime had even launched in Japan. Very cool. Just shows the crazy momentum. And then obviously we got it in the show's release, but the games were out before the anime in Japan. That's very, very cool, actually.
I wonder it's kind of similar to again Mew. What I was saying about Mew to start flying off with the armor. I wonder, was it like made? Was the movie made before the TV show even aired? Do you know what I mean?
I doubt it. I think it's just the fact that the games were so ahead of the anime. So it's kind of like manga and anime, right? Like the games were the manga for the Pokemon anime, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah.
So
I can read the next comment. All
right, this one's probably the best one, the most valuable one we have here. Go for it.
Thanks, Scar, for your comment. The next comment is from Mr. Dave, and it says, "I've never seen it."
That's all we got.
That's it. Thanks, Dave.
Now, we got this one. Mark, by the way, was on my stream on Saturday. He made this unreal. We did cocktails based on video games. So he's a bit of a mixologist, and he made these incredible videos. Cool. He made a cocktail based on Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, and then he made a Vice City cocktail, and he made a Sonic the Hedgehog cocktail, all with the toys and the colorings and everything. It was so cool.
Are they like alcoholic beverages cocktails?
Oh yeah. So we had.
Did you drink them?
We did. Did
you get a little tipsy?
Well, they were really sugary, so we were kind of like, they were
hyper.
Well, a little bit of hyper, but also like like I was turning into a sticky. Like it was just like drinking syrup after a while, But they were really cool. The videos he made for them were incredible.
Deadly,
I gotta show them to you. They're savage.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway, Mark says, "Hey, succulent cunts." So my Pokemon movie story may require some therapy from Keith after I tell it. Well, hopefully not. I've mentioned to Keith before that my Pokemon history started with Pokemon Red on our original dot matrix Game Boy around 1998. I loved playing my cousin on his Game Boy Color and Pokemon Blue using the same Game Link cable. So when the cartoon came to Ireland around 99, I was so excited. I also started collecting the cards around that time. So if I'm not wrong, me and that same cousin went to the movie at the end of 1999 and were really excited. We were both around 12 years old at the time, so I did not notice we towered over 90% of the 6 to 8 year olds there like Gandalf and Frodo. But the rest of the memory of the movie was almost blank, and here's why. I had also started the dreaded secondary school already. I know that feeling, like so intrinsically. At the end of 99, I was also very tiny for my age. So starting off with new kids was a struggle already. I remember there being a very cute girl in my class, but I was super shy. One day she noticed that I had Pokemon cards and started chatting to me. I kind of heard a little bit of the story. I was amazed that being interested in something like Pokemon would get you attention from a girl. Of course, I was wrong. She had zero interest in me, but instead was asking if I'd be willing to trade cards with her 8-year-old younger brother. Cue the gif of Ralph Wiggum's heartbreaking. He continues on to say, I was so martha, boys. So because of this moment, I think my brain decided to forget being at the movie with a load of 8-year-olds and that I should be into smoking and being a cool dude. So true, though. It is something I really love from the podcast, lads. Taking back my childhood a bit because society can deprive us of really important things in life. I'm so glad to see there's a shift for newer generations and being a nerd, if you want to label it, or just a normal kid really. You're not judged or peer pressured into giving up a hobby. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but it feels like it's cool to be young and collect things now, but be different with a hobby or interest. Sorry for the really long post which had zero to do with the movie itself. I'll actually will rewatch it at some stage to see if it triggers these locked memories. Maybe. Love you guys. Love you too.
Thanks, Mark, you succulent bastard. That was really cool. A really nice story. And really funny about the girl asking to trade with her younger brother.
It really just portrays like all the feelings you have growing up in one story, doesn't it?
I remember going into secondary school as well, and I never liked school. I really didn't enjoy school because I wasn't very academic, and but I was, my primary school was an all boys school. So when I went into secondary school and there was girls around, they may as well have not been there because I just didn't I didn't talk to them and didn't look at them. I was just like I didn't know what to fucking say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember that feeling of just being like awkward and fucking not fitting in, not knowing what to do or what to say or where to look, and just being like, I want to go home, play Pokemon on the Game Boy.
Yeah, it's just like when your existence is just awkwardness and like just nervousness. It's just terrible.
Yeah. It's fucking it's sad. Like I think back on my younger self and I feel sad for that person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For just the I always remember having this mad light bulb moment, and I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I remember I don't know if it was like last year or something, and I was listening to the Offspring song Self Esteem, and which I've probably heard hundreds, thousands of times, I don't know, and I'd never as growing up, wasn't until that moment that I clicked what self-esteem was like, and I've been listening to that the whole time, but growing up I had zero of it.
Yeah, of course.
So Mark's story kind of hits hard. But I also really like what he's saying there about, I think it's cool that it's kind of shifted now, where if you want to be labelled a nerd or just being a kid and being interested in certain things is cool. Which I think is really nice, that you don't get slagged for it, because again, like my experience, I remember hiding Pokemon cards in my bag and being afraid to say anything because people would slag me in school. Do you know what I mean? So I think now it's cool to kind of celebrate what people are into, and like, why should you shame somebody for liking something different? You know? I don't give a fuck if people like football. I don't like it. That's totally cool. I'm not going to shame you for it. But let's play Pokemon instead.
Yeah. It's like, but don't like that, okay? And like what I like.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, it's like, I don't care. Like, you know, because I get it from time to time. People are like, oh, you're into video games, not for kids. I'm like, well, is football not a game? Is that the same thing? Like, you're trying to shame me for playing a game when you do the same thing. Like, do you know what I mean? It's
know.
Like, just, I like what I like, and you like what you like. It's okay to like different things. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. And I think it's like, and I think, wearing it like a badge of honor is like great then as well. Like, I mean, sure, look, my
100%.
career has been dedicated to talking about all my nerdy stuff as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like playing my video games and sharing the ones I love and doing this podcast with you and everything else. That's reclaiming my childhood in its own way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a nostalgic journey, this podcast, of stuff coming back to me, and even like talking about like the first day I watched Pokemon with Gav and John, and it's mad like thinking back to those days and sitting on my front wall with the cable, like trading Pokemon, and it's cool to have those memories. It really is, and to still be able to enjoy these things just as much today as I did back then, I think is really a really nice
added
thing.
layer of emotional bittersweet nostalgia.
Yeah. And crippling anxiety.
And crippling debt.
And despair from being just an adult.
So it turns out actually life is just despair, because you're despair when you're a kid and you're despair from being an adult for different reasons. However, at least when you're an adult, you try and repair the despair of when you were a kid while trying to work with the current despair you have.
Man, that is like such a good slogan. Repair the despair. Like, that should be like on a t-shirt. Repair the despair.
Repair the despair of your childhood should be our. We put that as our new bio for the podcast. Not two lads talk about retro gaming. Just repair the despair of your childhood.
Yeah, like, oh man, 100%. We have to work that in somewhere. Repairing the despair. So we're gonna have to work that in. That is fucking brilliant.
But yeah,
man, that was. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say this podcast is longer than the Pokemon movie itself, which is hilarious.
It is, yeah. But it's been really fun to chat about it, and it was nice to watch it last night again, and just kind of thinking about it from a different angle, because there's like deep things I hadn't thought about, and even things like them saying the wrong Pokemon I think is really cool. I never noticed that before, calling Pidgeot a Pidgey and Sand/it or Sandtree or whatever. Because now when I watch it back, I'm gonna notice it and it'll be like, oh shit, look at that.
Yeah, you have to watch it tonight. I mean? Watch the Pokemon movie 2 tonight now, because assuming, right, I'll tell you what, lads, if we get to 135 star ratings, Pokemon 2 the movie review coming your way.
We still have to do Super Mario.
No one remembers that. No one remembers that. That's fine.
I remember.
Let's get some more stars.
But thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate us, share us, tell people. If you're still listening now, if you're at the bitter end, I love you. But do me a favour and tell people about the podcast. Just say, if you have a friend who you think will like it, just say, stick that in your ear there and go at it.
Stick that in your ear there. Here, I sure look, sure listen. By order the Peaky Blinders. Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I want everyone to go to sleep tonight with the pain in their heart, thinking about their childhood and the nostalgia that it brings with you, and Ash dying along the way, the same way you died eternally and emotionally when you reached secondary school. Guys, this has been real for real. No cap dog. Hashtag Jizz Loyalty. And we'll see you on hashtag Jizz Loyalty. We'll see you on the flip side. We are now going to do our other podcast. It's called where we are anime perverts, where we're going to be talking about Android 18 and Officer Joy, Nurse Joy, and Officer Jenny. So join us on animeperverts.com. We'll see you there.
Oh,
guys.
it's on our what's the thing called?
patreon.com/press any button to continue.
Oh, I was gonna say, what's the other thing called where people pay for nudie pictures? What's it called? Our fan? Oh yeah, it's on our OnlyFans. Sorry. See, I couldn't get it out in time. The joke. Nah, fuck the joke, man. I'll see you next week.
But you know what though?
What? You want to start an OnlyFans?
No, maybe, yeah. Alright, okay, guys, if you think we should start an OnlyFans, I know a few people would love us to start an OnlyFans, and I think those select few people would keep us funded for a while. If you want to see two Irish lads raw dogging it hard, catch us next time on Press Any Button Continue.